Hello everyone! Welcome back! Welcome freaking back. The sun is out. I'm in a very good mood. It's starting to get very springy, as much as springy can get in Northeast Ohio because I live next to the lake, so it's still like 20 degrees outside, but that feels like a spring day in my opinion, considering that we've been living in like negative 20 degrees up here. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. Why do I always weather lady you? As you guys can see by the title and the thumbnail of this video, today we are doing our March TBR. I'm so excited, but also how in the hell is it March? Anyway, like I usually do in my TBR videos or in my wrap-up videos, I generally like to start with my books that are going to be on my Kindle first because I'm not going to be holding them physically. So we're going to be starting out with the first book that I'm going to be reading in the month of March. Yeah, in the month of March. Month of March. Oh. But the first book that we are going to be reading in the month of March is Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. I love Julie Soto. I have read, I think now, 2 books by her, if I'm not mistaken. I read Forget Me Not a few years ago, like 3 to 4 years ago. And then I read, just last month in February, I read, was it Second Act Romance? Was that the one that she... Yes, that was the one that she wrote, but she did a novella for Valentine's Day and it was fantastic. But since I had just read another Julie Soto book, I have been kind of in a Julie Soto kick. I really love her writing. I've always loved her writing. And since that book was so short, the last book that I read by her was so short, I really just wanted to jump into another Julie Soto book. So I'm going to be reading Rose in Chains. This book is the first book in the Evermore trilogy. I believe it's going to be a trilogy if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. If I'm wrong, tell me down in the comments. But this is the first book in the Evermore trilogy, and this book follows Bryony, I believe is how you pronounce our main female character's name. It's either Bryony or Briony, but in my head, I have been pronouncing it Bryony. But this book follows Bryony, and she is... I guess I could just read the back of the book for you. The war is over, the dark forces have won, and the hero who was supposed to save them is dead. Captured as her castle is overrun by the enemy, Bryony Rosewood knows that the world as she knows it is changed forever. The dark forces of Baumard have won, and her people, the Eversons, face imminent servitude, imprisonment, or death. Her brother, fated to be heir twice over and unite the warring kingdoms, is dead. Stripped of her mind magic and her freedom, Bryony and the other survivors are quickly auctioned off to the highest bidders in an auction, and as the heir apparent's sister, she fetches the highest price. After a fierce bidding war, she's sold to none other than Tovin, a high-ranking Baumard son, and her long-time and ill-fated infatuation. Scion of a family known for their cruel control of heart magic, the Harsts are ruthlessly ambitious, and Bryony knows they will use her however they can to further their own interests. Yet despite the horrors of her new world and the role she must learn to play within it, all is not lost. Help and hope may yet arise in the most unlikely of places. I started this book yesterday. It is going really well. I'm really enjoying it so far. I have basically gotten to where Bryony is now being auctioned off with the rest of the Eversons, and this book is, I'm going to state very loudly, there is an entire page of trigger warnings, okay? This book obviously deals with human trafficking, as it is very specifically stated that they are auctioning off people. This book just kind of is a little triggering, for lack of better terms. But that is the first book that I'm going to be reading in the month of March. I'm super excited to get into that one, like I said, just because I love Julie Soto. And then the second book that I'm going to be getting into in the month of March, I'm super excited about this one. It doesn't release until tomorrow. Tomorrow for me is March the 3rd, so it does not release until the 3rd, but this is Lady Tremaine by Rachel Hawkhauser, is how I believe you pronounce this author's last name. But this book is a retelling of Lady Tremaine from Cinderella. If you guys are Disney fans like me, you probably heard that name and you were like, where do I know that from? Where do I know that from? Well, that would be from Cinderella. I will read the description of this book for you. I'm so excited to get into this one. I love retellings, especially whenever they're done right, and I think this one's going to be done right. So this book, Lady Tremaine, I did end up seeing on Book of the Month. I am not a subscriber of Book of the Month. This is not a ad, this is not anything. I'm not sponsored by them, though I would love to be in the future. A breathtaking reimagining of Cinderella, as told through the eyes of its iconic evil stepmother, revealing a propulsive love story about the lengths a mother will go to for her children. A widow twice over, Etheldreda is now saddled with the care of her 2 children, a priggish stepdaughter and a razor-taloned peregrine falcon. Her entire life has become a ruse, just like the manor hall they live, grand and ornate on the exterior, but crumbling brick by brick inside. Fierce in the face of her misfortune, Ethel clings to her family's respectability, the lifeboat that will float her daughters straight into the secure banks of marriage. When a royal ball offers the chance to secure the future she desperately desires, Ethel must risk her secrets, pride, and limited resources in pursuit of an invitation for her daughters, only to see her hopes fulfilled by the wrong one. As an engagement to the heir of the kingdoms unfolds with an unnerving speed, she discovers a sordid secret hidden in the depths of the royal family, forcing her to choose between the security she's sought for years and the well-being of the feckless stepdaughter who has rebuffed her at every turn. As if Bridgerton met Circe, and exhilarating to its core, Lady Tremaine reimagines the myth of the evil stepmother at the heart of the world's most famous fairy tale. It's a battle cry for a mother's love for her daughters, a celebration of women everywhere who make their own fortunes. I think this is going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be great. I'm super excited to read it, and like I said, it comes out on March the 3rd. I'm super excited. It will be released by the time this video is up, so if that book sounds interesting to you, why don't you go grab it, because I think it's going to be great. Then the next book that I'm hoping to get to in the month of March is It Was You by Joe Platt. This is going to be a buddy read with me and my buddies. Me and my book club, me and my sister-in-laws. We are going to be reading It Was You this month. And this one, I've never read anything by this author. I never heard of this book, but my mom called me like, geez, I think maybe 6 months ago, and she went, have you heard of this book? And I went, no. And she went, have you read anything by this author? And I said, no. And she goes, does it look like something that you and your sister-in-laws would enjoy? And I said, absolutely. So let me read the back of it for you. Alice Waits has been happily single for almost 2 years. But when her close friends in the short book group gently question her distinct lack of interest in men, she accepts that maybe it's time to deal with the past and open herself up to new possibilities. Oh yes, the time has come to start dating again. However, things soon unravel for Alice as she uncovers the secret heartache and hopes of those around her. And her most surprising discovery is the life-changing truth that she has kept hidden even from herself. And then at the bottom it says, perfect for readers of Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry, so I know this book is going to be so perfect for me, and I cannot wait to jump into this with my sister-in-laws. It's gonna be freaking great. I'm so excited. And then I'm hoping to read The Last Equation of Isaac Severy by Nova Jacobs. This is a novel in clues, so it's a mystery, obviously. I'm really excited to jump into this. I got it at a $5 fill-a-bag maybe almost a year ago, and I am really excited to jump into it. The cover looks really interesting. As you can see, it's got streets and avenues and things like that, so it's definitely going to be a really fun mystery to get into. But it says, days after famed mathematician Isaac Severy dies in an apparent suicide at his Los Angeles home, his adopted granddaughter Hazel, owner of a struggling bookstore, receives a letter from him. In it, Isaac alludes to a secretive organization that is after his final bombshell equation, and he charges Hazel with safely delivering it to a trusted colleague. But first, she must unravel a series of confounding clues Isaac hid in a copy of her favorite novel. A posthumous puzzle she suspects will lead her to his mathematical treasures. Hazel is far from the only one searching for Isaac's life work, and as she widens her search, she realizes that the equation has potentially disastrous consequences for the extended Severy family, a group of geniuses unmoored by the sudden death of their patriarch. As agents of an enigmatic company shadow Isaac's favorite son, a theoretical physicist, and a long-lost cousin mysteriously appears in town, the equation slips further from Hazel's grasp. When her efforts fall short, she's forced to enlist help from those whose motives are not as pure as her own. A witty and suspenseful mystery, The Last Equation of Isaac Severy proves that, like Hazel, you don't have to love math to fall under the Severy spell. So I thought this was going to be really interesting because I despise math. So I thought that this would be just a fun little thing to jump into to kind of live vicariously through another character. That's what I like to do whenever I read. But anyway, this is another book that I'm really excited to jump into in the month of March. And a book that I have been slowly reading is The Diary of Anne Frank. I think that it is the perfect time to be reading banned books. I'm a big proponent of screaming that people should be reading banned books, but I am, like I said, slowly reading through it because it is not something that you can just jump into and dive into without having serious brain issues going on. Because if I were to just seriously sit down and read this like it were a romance, I think that I would have a lot of sadness going through my brain. You know what I mean? And so I just don't think that this is one that I'm going to be hoping to finish by the end of March, but I am hoping to get farther into this book in March. But let's do a little wraparound. We're going to be talking about all of the books that I'm reading. So the first book that I'm hoping to read is Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. Then I'm hoping to read Lady Tremaine by Rachel Lockhauser. Then I'm hoping to read Lady Tremaine by Rachel Hockhauser. Then I'm wanting to read It Was You by Joe Platt. The Last Equation of Isaac Severy by Nova Jacobs. And The Diary of Anne Frank by our young girl, Anne Frank. So these are the books that I want to read physically this month, and these are the books that I want to read electronically. So with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys are reading this month, what you guys are really not looking forward to diving into, and if you guys have any book recommendations for me, let me know down in the comments. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment downstairs. Make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.